If you don't have questions, good morning everyone, I will ask you a question. What is the meaning of the word which is probably the most frequently used word today in all the news of the mass media? What word is it? Israel. Do any of you know what Israel means? What's the meaning of this name Israel?
God is Israel.
What is the meaning of Israel?
Saul is Kodesh Baruch with Hashem. Or he who strives with God.
Well, in order to understand this, we have to go to the place in the Bible where Israel is first mentioned. Where is the name Israel first mentioned? Do you know?
Gracious.
Where? In which instance? Which connection?
When Jacob followed Esau's Sahara.
So that's on page, if you will please turn to chapter 32 of Bereshit of Genesis. That's the first time Israel as a name is mentioned anywhere in the world. We know that the founder of the 12 tribes of Israel is our forefather Yaakov, Jacob. And that was the name that he was given when he was born. And that remained his name until we come to chapter 32 in Jerusalem Bible. It's on page 38. And we'll start from verse 25. We're dealing here with a situation where we know there was even hatred from Esau against his brother Yaakov. And now, after Yaakov had established his family, he came in confrontation with his brother Esau and 400 armed men. And he's very frightened because Esau had even mentioned that when his father Yitzchak would die, he would go and kill his brother Jacob. So, in the first part of chapter 32, it describes all the preparations that our forefather Yaakov, Jacob made, which were threefold. Do any of you know what are the three forms of preparation?
Tzedakah, Tefillah, and...
Not tzedakah, no.
Tefillah,
yes. Prayer to Hashem.
Gifts.
That you should save him.
Gifts.
That there shouldn't be, unfortunately, a conflict which would be a warfare.
Separation. Divided into camp and half.
Yes, but what were the three that he did to prepare himself? In case he's attacked, better to be divided. He should only attack one part, the other part ready to escape.
He gave him gifts. And he also prepared for war.
Three things. First, prayer. Second, appeasement. Prepared a great deal of appeasement with presents for his brother. And if necessary, as a regrettable necessity, prepared himself for warfare. And it turned out, it doesn't get described exactly what the reaction of his brother would be, but he gave full instructions to go and send very numerous presents of appeasement to his brother. And then it says, meanwhile, he crossed over the river with his family. It says, and Yaakov was left alone. And then it says, Vayavek ish imo. And a man battled with him, struggled with him, adol tashachar, till the dawn. And he saw he could not conquer him. He could not beat him. And he touched the palm of his thigh. And the palm of the thigh of Yaakov became dislocated when he wrestled with him. Then this unidentified Ish person, he said to him, please let me go. In other words, apparently, Yaakov was controlling this cryptic person, and he held him under his hands, under his body. He wouldn't let him go. He says, please let me go, because the dawn has arisen. So Yaakov said, I'm not letting you go unless you give me a blessing. And then this identified man said to him, what is your name? He said, my name is Yaakov. And he said, your name will no longer be named Yaakov. Kim Yisrael. It will be called Israel. Because you have wrestled with divine powers and with human beings, and you have conquered them. Then Yaakov asked him, tell me, what is your name? You've asked for my name, what's your name? So he said to him, why do you ask my name? And he blessed him there. And then it says, Yaakov called the name of that place Peniel, which means the face of God. For I have seen God face to face, and my soul was saved. Then the sun shone for him once he had passed this place called Penuel, and he was limping on his thigh. And that's why the Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, do not eat the sinew of the thigh, which is upon the palm of the thigh, until this day, because he touched the palm of the thigh of Yaakov on this sinew. Then afterwards it describes the ensuing paragraphs, the confrontation between all the gifts which Yaakov brought to his brother Esau, which made Esau feel friendly towards Yaakov. And they were able to leave one another as brothers. That's the episode. But of course we're still left a bit in the dark. What does it all mean? Who was this? Was this a human being? What do you think? How do you interpret this struggle? You see here how the episodes in the Chumash deal with meetings between human beings, but also meetings with messengers from Hashem, from God, called Malachim. And this was a form of meeting with a Malach. Only a Malach, a spiritual power sent by Hashem, can be responsible for making such statements. Especially, there is a clue to what it all means, Because later it says that God himself said to Yaakov, henceforth your name will be Israel. So we see this was, as it were, it says, Ki malachav yitzav elach, v'shmoch b'chol d'rachecha, it says, just give another verse, there's so many verses in the whole of the Bible that deal with angels. Hashem sends you angels that will show you the right path. That means we know Hashem is far above the human mind. But he has created different angels in the world. If we want to understand, this is surely a malach. It's shown from many other situations. It's shown from the dream that Yaakov Avinu had beforehand, when he saw the ladder that connects heaven to earth, and he saw the angels of God going up and down on that ladder. So he recognized, that was before he was married, before he started his journey away from his home, he saw this dream. And this dream teaches us that Yaakov, our forefather, as well as his descendants, we are accompanied by malachim. But the word malachim is used in the Bible in a far wider sense. We said this morning in the prayers, the Psukkah de Zimra, we speak about malachav eish. When we have the power of fire, the energy of fire in the world is a malach, the angel of Hashem. You want to understand malach as in all deeper concepts of the Tanakh. In translation, you can't really understand them. But if you study the Hebrew and go back to the root, you can understand it. We know in Hebrew there's a word malach, means an angel. There's a word melacha. What's melacha mean? Just with hay at the end. What's also an angel?
Work.
Means work. And that's the first word of a similar type mentioned in the Bible, in the Chumash. Malachim go all the way through the Tanakh. But we have in the first chapter of the Chumash, we have a description of creation as being melacha. Kevo Shabbat mikol melachto asher bara Elokim la'asot, we see nature is not something that's by itself. Nature is a malacha. If you really want to understand it, the major root of malacha, verbal root, what's that go back to the verbal root, is lamed aleph hof, which in some Semitic language means to send. It means a message. The difference between things that are just happenings and things that are sent by someone. So creation is referred to use the modern description, which is in dispute in many parts of the civilized world, called, is the world a design, or is it just a chance happening? It's been proven, and science proves it, in every generation more and more, that we live in a designed universe. A design means a designer. When it says at the beginning of the Chumash, the whole of the world that we see around us, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim v'et haaretz, it's all designed. It all has a purpose. Some of the purposes are being discovered more and more through the progress of science. And that's why there is hardly any scientist left today who will go and say that things that exist in the investigation of nature don't have a design. And that's we see constantly. Everything has a purpose. In other words, it's all planned. The world is just, if you want to put it in a wider sense, to connect the two concepts of malacha and malach, the world is a product of the power of Hashem who creates malachim. If you ask any what are the basic energies that exist in the universe, today all the scientists agree there are four basic forces. There's the weak, and the strong called nuclear force. Then there is the force of electromagnetism. And then the force of movement, mass and velocity. These are the four basic forces that are responsible for all the different energies that exist in the universe. And all of these are powers that go back to the mind of the universe. With the mind of the universe, that's Hashem. As we say in our prayers, we say, Maravu Masech Hashem, how great are all your deeds, Hashem, how deep are your thoughts, and what is the mind that's responsible for everything that takes place. And how does that mind of Eunice work? It works through Malachim. It works through different types of energy that Hashem gives into this world, including also the life energy of the human being, including also the power of thought of the human being. It all comes from a higher source, from the mind of the universe. So that is the basic principle, which explains to us the common factor between Malacha and Malach. So, without now spending all our description, which of course can go much further, concerning the essence of Malachim, I want to come right back as an illustration of this to this episode, which contains also an explanation of the name Israel. Before I do that, now if you've got any questions on what I've mentioned so far. Any questions or comments?
When you are a hay, it becomes female.
Allow it, please, yes.
When you are a hay, it becomes female. So when it goes from malach to malacha, that's going from the masculine to the feminine. Is that, am I correct? What does that have, like, how can I...
Well, the malach would mean like a particular messenger, or malachim. And malacha is a more overall design. When you find in the Hebrew language that more abstract, overall concepts, they come generally in the feminine. That's behind it. While the more concrete aspect of it is generally in the singular. Any other questions? So, I'm going to now carry on with the next stage by bringing you the comment of the Midrash on this angelic personality or mystical personality which struggled with Yaakov, who we know as a concrete person, who's described in more detail in all those chapters of the Chumash, who struggled with him all the night till the dawn, and Yaakov became the victor. But this angel, he caused him to limp. He damaged the sinew of his thigh. So when it came to dawn, this, I already call him a malach, because he's surely not a physical being the normal way. He had some specific appearance, I suppose, or it's a specific message. And he said, "Let me go because the dawn has arisen." So I would recommend you, I can't, can't copy, not supposed to copy Art Scroll without specific permission. We've only got one copy of the brilliant translation and commentary which we do have on this Midrash, which you can read up yourselves. So on this verse 27, where Yaakov has got the angel, we'll call him that, pinned under him, the angel says, "Let me go, because it's dawn." What lies behind this? To understand any part of the Bible, we have to have a knowledge of the whole Bible. That's the concept of all Midrashim. So there's a verse, the book of Lamentations, where it says, Chadashim labakarim, you every morning, Rabba emunatecha, your faithfulness is great. This is a verse, part of which is included in the first verse we say in the morning. When we wake up, any of you know what you're supposed to say? As soon as you wake up, Modeh ani lefanecha. I thank you. I thank in front of you, Melech Chai v'Kayom, the King who is alive and who is strongly in existence. Shechzat bi nishmati, that you have returned my soul to me. Bechemla Rabba, with great compassion. Rabba emunatecha, bechemla, Rabba emunatecha. Your faithfulness is great. Just by the side, I'll tell you an interesting comment. There was a meeting of top professors and also top experts in psychology in America. And they came to the conclusion that when a person wakes up, he's got to count till 12. Because if he gets up immediately when he wakes up, it can cause problems with his blood pressure. Therefore, he should count to 12 and then get up. So one of the psychologists gets up and he says, we have a custom that we say a verse in the morning of 12 words before we sit up in bed. He said, there was a large applause in that conference of psychologists. But in any case, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does the verse itself mean? And you every morning, great is your faithfulness. So Rabbi Shimon Baba said that this verse means by giving us renewed life every morning, we know that your faithfulness is great, to also revive the dead. So this is a very interesting comment, which is important to life. It also referred to it in the daily Amidah. The daily Amidah, the second blessing, you say all the loving kindness of Hashem, all the different Chaltel Chaim B'Chesed, all the things he does. Fei Cholim, Atir Zorim, he heals the sick, he loosens our bodies, and he establishes his faithfulness to those who sleep in the dust. And the blessing ends, Mechayeh Amitim, because Baruch Hu resurrects the dead. Now on the surface, we know we have 30 principles of faith. And the principle of faith that some people find most difficult is the revival of the dead. Where do you see the revival of the dead? You see it, the prophets say, that a certain level of redemption which comes after the Mashiach, then there will be a revival of dead bodies. And the vision of it is describing it in the book of Yechezkel. That's a Fiat HaMitzim. But this blessing, which we say every day in the Amidah, has the implication, also it says, what does it mean to be asleep in the dust? Yishenei Afar. We say that's death. When you die, death is not the end. Some people think death is the end, but it's not. It's a sleep, but you wake up from that sleep. In fact, these days we witness it to some extent. There are many people who are clinically dead, but artificially we keep them going, and it can happen if you put enough work into it, that they can wake up from their coma. But some people have been known to wake up after a coma for a few years. And then they describe the life they had when they were in the coma. And we even know that when in the coma, they don't have their own higher spiritual life in a different plane of existence, but sometimes they even know what's going on around them. And they can describe to you after they wake up from the coma what people are saying about them in different parts of the world. And even it's been brought up in courts, for example, one of the most famous cases brought up quite a few years ago, when there were hospitals in Germany after the war. They were well supervised still by the Americans, to some extent. And in those hospitals, they used to treat Jewish patients, and sometimes there were anti-Semitic doctors who treated the patients. And there was a certain instance of a woman who was in a coma, more or less clinically dead, but there was a possibility to revive her. And then an argument came out between the nurses and the doctor. The doctor, oh, leave her, she's just a Jewess, let's leave her. And the nurses resisted. And the nurses tried to keep her going. And all the time they had difficulties with this doctor. The doctor got very angry with them, and there was a big dispute. Anyway, then the lady came out of the coma, and she was heavily wounded still, and needed treatment in the hospital. And the nurses brought a court case against this doctor, that he neglected to look after her, and he was working hard to let her die. He needed to do things to bring the death nearer. But even the things he said were not very positive, they were anti-Semitic. And they brought a case against him, the nurses. But the doctor in the court, he said, oh, you know, you nurses, you don't know what's going on. I'm the expert, I know what's what, and you didn't know anything. Yeah, probably you're just telling a lot of lies. I'm not anti-Semitic. You try to make out he was entirely innocent, causing her a lot of extra problems because he wanted to kill her off sooner, or let her die sooner. So, of course, the family were very much on the side of the nurses. The doctor was against the fact, you know what's going on in the hospital, nobody knows. So what did they do, the nurses? They brought the woman herself. She'd recovered, she'd come out of the coma. They brought the woman herself, and she's able to report exactly what was said on that occasion. And the court accepted it. And now there have been many cases since where people could give testimony what goes on in this world when they were clinically dead. They came out of it. So, the Gemara says in another place, to understand this, the Gemara brings this. In fact, in Brachas we find it in as we're learning it. That death is 1/60th, sleep is 1/60th of death. When a person sleeps, he's 1/60th dead. What's the concept 1/60th that you can tell me? What's mean 1/60th?
60% dead.
Pardon?
60% dead.
No, 1/60th?
Oh,
No.
It's bottle or
Huh?
it's bottle.
That's right. What's the in bittul? If you have a drop of gravy, let's say, it falls into a milky dish, if that bit of gravy is more than 1/60th, then it's treifa. If it's less than 1/60th, it's kosher. So therefore, anything less than a sixth becomes nullified. It's called the nullification in 1 out of 60. So the concept is that if those become nullified, it does not become milky. It's not really milky. Just we said we don't reckon it, you can't taste it. But there's a principle in the Gemara, if you go and add more and more gravy to it, so it becomes more than 60, then the first 60 also becomes aroused again. It becomes more than a 60. In other words, there's a certain element that remains inside, although you can't so easily be aware of it through the sense of taste or through the sense of sight in case of solids and so on. So we say, it can look at two ways. Death is a long sleep from which you can wake up, and we see in the near-death instances, which today are millions of records, and that's what's referred to here. Every day, Hashem brings us back, and He says, from the way in which you come back to your consciousness throughout day awakening every day new, this gives an indication of what revival of the dead means. And then Rav Alexander adds to this, there's something else. From that which you renew us at the dawn of newly emerging empires, we know that your faith is strong to redeem us. So this is a very deep concept. In fact, there's a double interpretation of the description of the revival of the dead referred to in the chapters of Yechezkel. Some say it refers to physical revival of the dead. Others say it refers to the revival of the redemption of the people of Israel when we come back to our land and we're able to become rejuvenated and be able to be filled with all the blessings that can come upon human beings, which will come upon the people of Israel when we have the redemption. These are the words of Alexandria. Unfortunately, we are subjected and sometimes enslaved and sometimes are killed by the big empires that want to rule the world and they want to destroy the Jewish people. But we know your faithfulness is great, that ultimately you will renew us when the dawn rises upon the night of the exile. And really this explanation goes right to the roots of the meaning of Israel, right to the root of this struggle, between Yaakov and this Saro shel Esav. The sages call it the Prince of Esav. That means the divine power which is given also to Esav, still a power that's given to him to live by the sword and to widen not only this individual, but this came also from Esav, the huge empires which wanted to express the power of man when he gets organized to subject weaker nations to his own will and create an order based upon the pursuit of might and power. That's Saro shel Esav. Saro shel Esav is interested in al-char v'chatichya, live by the sword. Even though it's got its ups and downs, as we see even from this episode. But what happened in the end? And then will come the dawn. The dawn is redemption. And so here we see this parallel in this verse, Rabbe Munatecha. And this already gives an indication of the deeper meaning of this struggle. And that's how it's described. So you have any comment on this or question on this?
I have a question about what you said about life in death. If a person dies and his body goes down into the earth, then why, and the spirit can live, the nefesh can live without the body, then why raise the body up and put the spirit back into the body. If the spirit can live without the body.
I suppose we'll only understand this when the experience comes.
Can a spirit join a different body altogether? Is that possible?
Reincarnation.
Reincarnation? Is reincarnation a possible?
These are questions and also interpretations which exist in the world at large, as all human beings. Today, we live in a world where that which is previously thought by many, going back by many thinkers, to be superstition, but there's a lot of evidence to support, call it the world of the psyche, the world of psychic experiences having a reality, and the ways of recording them. It's very interesting that it's one of the scientific groups that have made great use of treating psychic phenomena as being actualities and realities come from the time of the communist period in Russia, where many of the scientists did many experiments on this basis, also based many practical things on it. So it's you can't exclude them. But in Jewish circles also, amongst the great thinkers, there are differences of opinion with regard to reincarnation and also transmigration of souls, different forms of descriptions of relationships between the body and the soul after death. So, not simple matters, but there's a bit more clarification today than earlier days. Say the concept that each person has a particular person with his body and soul. He goes back to the same body, and that each soul is given its judgment in heaven according to its relationship with its body. That's one point of view. The other point of view is that there can also be different ways in which the soul takes on different bodies. And today especially, there's a lot of investigation with life after death and life before life on this earth. And there are many who connect the two together. Not to do even with anything to do with the Torah, but from the aspect of medical research. Maybe there are many even deeper psychologists, even men of a medical background, who accept that, like for example, one of the greatest experts in the world, professor of neuropsychology, Harvard and other places, who was very skeptical of all the reports of different life that takes place in heaven after death. So when it happened to him, so he changed his mind. He wrote a book called Proof from Heaven by Eve Alexander, where he describes that there's no way in which he can deny the fact that he went to another planet and had a different life in heaven. And similarly, I met once with a top psychoanalyst who followed Freudian concepts of the existence of the soul, different ways, and then through what he called therapy of recessive therapy, where they go back to experiences that come out, catharsis, come out from the time when a person was not yet born into this world. You get back to inner memories that can come out through hypnosis, and sometimes in dreams, and sometimes through straightforward speaking, and what's called a cathartic level, and they came out with many lives. Scribes one went through 64 lives, past lives, and so on. So all these things are debated also in the Gemara. The Gemara also says that before a child is born, that there's a malach that appoints every soul to a particular body. The simple meaning, for the Gemara also, it appears that you don't have a soul, it's a different personality. The spiritual personality remains the same. It's a simple interpretation of the Gemara. Anyway, I think I should, let's continue a little bit with this midrash. Meanwhile, we should already see the midrash gives us an opening to understand the struggle between Yaakov and Esav, which is of significance in the following way. That's what its major significance is. Yaakov expresses the life of Yaakov here on earth, who is at the time of the Galut, who is the heel of Esav. Because even Yaakov is connected with the word heel. That's how it's used at the beginning when he was born. That he was holding on to the heel of Esav. That means he's under the heel of Esav. And that's the situation of Am Yisrael in time of the Golos, who are under the heel of Esav. Today also, Jews are under the heel of Esav, especially in Europe. Very much so. There are places where people recognize the Jews as equal citizen. Nevertheless, there's a lot of deprivations of Jewish rights and Jewish security. The heel of Esav. The Esav today is spread over to the extremities of Islam. When I understand the development of Islam is certainly connected with a partnership between Hitler and the Mufti of Jerusalem. The Mufti of Jerusalem, he started, for example, he massacred the yeshiva even before Hitler came to power. Yeshiva Hebron here in Israel. He distorted the Quran to say we've got to kill all the Jews. And he made a special target of religious Jews, because they can be recognized as Jews. And he killed the whole, in Hebron, where there's peaceful relationship between the Muslim leaders and the Jewish leaders. That's why the yeshiva went there at the beginning. They got on very well. He comes along with his band, and he prepared death camps in Israel, together with Hitler, because he moved to Berlin to become his partner, to go and kill all the Jews. And that's going on today. Unfortunately, becoming stronger and stronger. They kill the Jews, or those who feel we've got to be friendly towards the Jews. They kill them also. In the end, the people whom they kill most are their fellow Muslims. They've suffered more, because the hand of Hashem is protecting us to some extent. So there where they've killed, probably in the course of the last year, they've killed about 500,000 Muslims. In Syria alone, 250,000 were killed through gas and other things. And they're going on and on. And now who knows what's going to happen now when we've got a new Haman arising in Persia, who comes with non-conventional weapons, so the threat is very great. But we know, in the end comes the dawn. He wants to destroy us completely, but Hashem won't let him. But we are weakened, we limp, and we're still limping. But we hope we'll come to the true dawn of redemption. So I'll just add a little bit here. How does this connect with the particular angel of that night? So they bring a further midrash. He says, a celestial band of angels never praises God and repeats the praise. Every day, HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates a new band of angels each day. And what do? They declare us a new song in front of Hashem, and depart. So that's why this angel, because angelic power, in the struggle with Yaakov, he said, please release me, because the dawn has risen. And my time has come to say the song of praise before Hashem. So Reb Chelbo, he said to me, Rav Nachman says, stifle one, you attempt to stifle me. I said again, what's the meaning, what it says? Let me go, for dawn has broken. He answered me, this Michael and Gabriel, these two angels, who are celestial princes, archangels, all ordinary angels are replaced daily, but they are never replaced. In other words, this is a very cryptic passage, but gives us a bit of an insight of what we mean by angels. We even refer to these two angels, Michael and Gabriel, in the prayer before sleep, as well as some other angels. But these are the two major angels, says, that they carry on their duty to sing in front of Hashem non-stop. They don't finish their purpose, they haven't fulfilled their message, they have to exist all the time. So this we have to explain more thoroughly next time, next year. I'll just say briefly that these two angels refer to Michael as Midat HaChesed. Michael means who is like unto God. Gabriel means who is strong like God. God is this power of strength. There's a quality of Chesed and a quality of Gvura. Michael represents Chesed and Gabriel represents Gvura. These two qualities we know also exist amongst human beings. But a quality of doing great kindness, giving of ourselves to others. And there's another quality of exerting strength and control. And these are two qualities that are balanced in the world, represented also by the right side and the left side in all aspects of Judaism and the Torah. The right side is the side of chesed, loving kindness. The left side is the side of gevura, the side of limitations. So, if we want to understand these two well, we have to understand them on the human level also. The sages say, in life, your right hand has to draw everyone near, to help them, to be close to them, be kind to them. But your left has to keep away the things that are poisonous, things that create illness, that create problems. So in life, even life of the body, you have to exert the right to understand, or eat from all the good foods in the world and enjoy them and feel enjoyment and spread enjoyment, but you've also got to exercise the left and don't absorb any poisons or any foods that do harm to you. So only you have the balance in your diet between the right and the left, between what's good for your health and what's bad for your health, you become a healthy person. The same applies in training children. If you say to your children, as many parents, they want to love their children very much, and they say to them, we'll do whatever you want, and we'll give you whatever you want, that's how you destroy them. If a child is a baby, you go and give it every sweet that it wants to have, and everything that tastes nice, and say, oh, it doesn't matter when you eat and what you eat, you ruin its digestion. The child gets older, and you give them any toys to play with, so you give them soft toys, then you go and give them dangerous toys. You give them guns, you give them toy guns and so on. They start learning how to shoot. You're doing them harm. But give them toys that educate them to good things. And keep away, especially keep away matches and things that the children like to play with and like to make fires. Tell them, if you touch any fire matchstick, I'll have to give you, don't listen to me, I'll have no choice. I'll just have to tie your hands. Or I'll have to give you a patch on the bottom. So otherwise, the child will go and burn himself, burn others. As the children grow up, you spoil them too much, take everything for granted, and they become juvenile delinquents. Or if not that, at least they become spoiled brats and think they can offend anyone they want as long as they get their way. So this is in life, you've got to balance the two. Hashem also, He's created Chesed and Gvura. And what lies behind it? The Malach, if we want to go a cosmic angle, there's a power in the world of construction, building things up, and there's also certain powers of destruction. Just as the antibodies and bodies in the human body, they're also in the whole structure of the world. That's how it works. We keep the world going by also having the negative pole as well as the positive pole. All of nature has a current which comes about through the stream that exists between the positive and the negative pole, which is the root of energy. So this is part of the concept on the cosmic level as well as the human level of the Malach Michael Malach Gabriel. But to understand this more deeply, and as a result to understand also the significance of Israel, we'll have to leave for the next year. I'm leaving this here for all of you, that you can look at the also very good explanations that are given here, which also include in brief what we're going to study inside. Just got time for another question or comment.
Does Judaism believe in rebirth of the soul, and the Christians believe that somebody through some sort of experience can I guess you alluded to it before when seeing in sleep, but I'm saying more or less when somebody wakes up, they can wake up as another soul, or their soul has some divine power, something like this. Is this described in any way in Jewish philosophy?
No, even the Christian thought rebirth has different connotations, but I suppose they'll apply rebirth, basing it, I would say, on Jewish sources. So when a person becomes baptized, he becomes reborn. Before baptism, so he's not a Christian yet. He becomes baptized, becomes reborn. And where does that come from? It comes from a Jewish source.
Mikvah.
A non-Jew has got a soul also, but if he accepts Gerut, he has Tevila and a mikvah, kosher mikvah, but he can only become reborn if he has Kabbalat Mitzvot. And then we say, this description used by the sages, Kekatan Shenoladami. He is like a reborn child. And that's why now he's reborn as the son of Abraham and Sarah. Before he was the son of John and Jill. Now he's the son of Abraham and Sarah. He's reborn. Reborn as a Jew. Before he was not a Jew yet. But to some extent, the Baal Teshuvah is also reborn. I've had people come to the yeshiva and say, how old are you? They say, I'm only 1 year old. The person was 25. Because I only found about Judaism a year ago. My parents lived like non-Jews, they were agnostics. My grandparents also didn't believe in anything. Or they believed in Christianity. They brought me up to Christian. No. But I decided I want to be Jewish.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.